Hey, what's going on? So occasionally people in my comments will ask me to make a DVD collecting video and to show off my horror DVDs, and I figured because Halloween's coming up, now would be the perfect time. This Halloween, I'm going as the world's biggest Willy Beamish fan. I got the t-shirt, I got the Willy Beamish watch. Heck yeah. So with this collection, I'm not claiming that this is the biggest collection in the world or even all that great. I just wanted to show what I have. A lot of stuff I run into, I don't keep. I really only keep stuff that I like. Like I could have a Don't Come Near the Park DVD in this collection, but the movie is crap, so I would have rather had the $25 at the time, so I sold it. There's plenty of movies that I sold. I've had like the Tombs of the Blind Dead series. I sold that. I think I paid $20 for it, and then I saw later on eBay it's worth like $100. So yes, give me that $100. And if I need to watch that movie, I can always probably find it online. But let's get started here. What do we have? Alone in the Dark. That's about people like they're afraid to be alone in the dark. Then we have Alligator. That's about an alligator. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not just going to read the title and then assume that's what the movie's about. So we got like Alone in the Dark. That's an awesome 80s slasher movie. That's really good. Good cast right there, as you can see. Also comes with Afraid of the Dark. I don't really remember too much about that one. Relentless 3 and 4. I don't even think I watched those. We got like Alligator here. This is an awesome like horror exploitation movie. You have Robert Forster in there. Highly recommend Alligator. Awesome movie. Can't forget about these. 1408. You know, John Cusack. That's a pretty cool movie. 2001 Maniacs. I don't think I really like that movie that much. A lot of these I watched like 14 years ago, and that was the last time I've seen them. So 2001 Maniacs is a remake of a movie I've never seen. Didn't really like this remake though. 28 Days Later, that's a classic, obviously. 28 Weeks Later, that one's not really as good, but that's okay. 31, that's a Rob Zombie movie. 31, referencing Halloween. I haven't watched that one yet. Over here we have like Amityville Horror 1, 2, and 3. Pretty good, but not my favorite movies or anything. We have the fourth one also. American Werewolf in London. Definitely one of the best horror movies ever. Awesome. Arizona. This is kind of like a dark comedy thriller, but it's with the horror because there's a lot of killing in it. For instance, if Jaws is considered a horror, then definitely this would be a horror in my opinion. So Arizona, underrated movie. I don't really hear people talk about that, but definitely recommend watching it. This is funny right here. We have Army of Darkness, the Bruce Campbell versus Army of Darkness Director's Cut edition. There's so many versions of this movie. I don't know why I bought this one. It's like the worst cover ever. Funny about this movie, I saw this in the theater with my friends when we were like 10 years old, and we had no idea what Evil Dead was, but we really liked Army of Darkness. That was a really good theater experience. Bad Taste. Uh-oh. Peter Jackson right there, great movie. Only 50,000 were made. There's Peter Jackson right there on the back cover. Great time with that movie. Basket Case 1 and 2. I thought I had the third one. I must be mistaken, or else I just misplaced it. People seem to like the sequels better than the first one. I definitely like the first one better than the sequels. Great movies right there. Frank Henenlotter, he made those. Battlefield Baseball. Japanese movie. It's pretty gory, but it's also comical, so like the gore doesn't mean all that much, but it was pretty fun. The Beyond. This is a Lucio Fulci movie, and it's pretty good. Not one of his best. I do find his movies very hit or miss, and this one is in the middle somewhere. There's some very, very good gore in this. I found this somewhat recently at a thrift store for like $1 or $2, so that was a great find. Black Christmas. Oh my God, that movie is amazing. It's funny that most slashers steal from Halloween, and Halloween basically just copies this movie. So every slasher movie almost is copying Black Christmas, and none of them do it as good. This movie is fantastic. The Blob. I remember this VHS cover used to scare me as a kid when I would see it in the rental store. This is a good remake. I actually never saw the original, but yes, The Blob, good movie right there. Blood Hook. I found this at a yard sale, and the guy had only family movies, and then this one horror. He had Blood Hook. Just kind of funny to me that the guy, like, the one horror movie he likes is this one. And definitely, like, hidden gem, I would say. Blood Hook is a worth watching movie. Blood-Sucking Freaks, I don't really like this that much, but what's funny is this came out in 1998. The DVD, I mean, came out in 1998, and Eli Roth does the commentary because he was like an intern at Troma. So before he like directed Cabin Fever, he worked at Troma as an intern and did commentary on this movie. Kind of interesting to hear him talk before he had any fame at all. So that's the only reason why I keep that, because I think that's interesting. The Body Beneath, I don't think I actually watched this movie yet. Boar. Now this is a prequel to Borat. No, kidding. This is a Dollar Tree find I did watch it on Shudder, so I'd never opened this DVD. But I'm keeping it because it's a good movie. Burial Grounds, The Nights of Terror. This is one of my favorite So Bad It's Good movies. There's this little kid in this movie. Well, he's supposed to be a little kid, but he's an adult who has like dwarfism or something. And apparently people know him as Dario Argento, like Jr., because he looks just like Dario Argento. And this movie is hilarious. Definitely watch Burial Grounds. And the zombies look cool, so it's actually good as like a horror movie also. The Burning, amazing slasher. Pretty sure Tom Savini did the special effects on that one. Could be mistaken. The guy who played George Costanza, forget his name, Jason Alexander, he has a part in this, which is pretty funny. The Brood. I kind of didn't like this movie the first time I saw it. Second time I saw it, I liked it a lot. Highly recommend The Brood. We got Cannibal Campout right here, which I consider to be the best shot on video horror movie. Very good. Yeah. Cannibal the Musical. Not really horror, but, put it in there anyways. Speaking of Cabin Fever, here it is. Excellent movie right there. Maybe a little dated, but at the time I liked that a lot. This movie right here is pretty obscure, actually. Cannibal Holocaust. You have John Saxon from Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't think this even came out on VHS in the United States. Or if it did, it was under another name and not very widely released. It's pretty good, though. It's zombies, but not really like classic zombies. I think it's more like people with a virus. There's a really cool scene where it's they're having a shootout inside of a flea market. No one's at the flea market. It's closed, but it's still like, pretty cool. I recommend tracking this one down. I got this one somewhat recently, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. I had a coupon on eBay, so I think I paid maybe like, after using the coupon, like $8 or something. That's pretty cool. Most of these DVDs, I don't know if I mentioned this, but most of these DVDs I got for a fraction of the price that they cost. I don't really buy new DVDs very often at all. Cat's Eye, awesome movie, anthology, Drew Barrymore, cute little kitty cat right there. Definitely recommend watching that movie. The Changeling, another great movie. Yay. Children of the Corn, I think people are kind of split on this. Some people like it, some don't. I definitely like it a lot. Children of the Corn, fantastic. Child's Play, kind of has light water damage. I did have a flood at one point, so a few DVDs got damaged. Not like a real flood, just a pipe was slightly leaking, and it got on a few of them. And I have the rest of the Chucky movies right here in this thing. Except for Cult of Chucky, I do have that on DVD somewhere else. This is a Blu-ray. Flea Market Falcon gave me that. He said it only cost like $1. And I watched some of them. They're a little bit scratched, but they work great. So that was a great find for Falcon. Thank you. The Collector. I saw this in the theater. I actually didn't like it that much, but then I saw someone posting on Facebook that it was really, really good. So I thought, hey, maybe I overlooked something. So I found this in a thrift store for like $1 or $2, and I grabbed it then. And I have yet to rewatch it. Okay, so here's my Cult of Chucky. It was out of, order there. We'll put it right there. Chud. Fantastic movie. Oh yeah, I love me some Chud. You have Daniel Stern in there. Cool. Here we have Creature from the Black Lagoon, a classic. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest classic monster fan or horror fan even. I like mostly newer horror movies like 80s and after. I do like a lot of 70s stuff, but sometimes some of the stuff is like too dated and just not gory enough for my taste. I know that probably sounds dumb, but yeah, definitely a fan of like more so of like the 80s and newer stuff. But yeah, Creature from the Black Lagoon, good stuff right there. We got Creepshow, fantastic. Awesome movie. And we got Creepshow 2. Now, this one isn't quite as good, except for the story The Raft is the best Creepshow story there is. It's fantastic, based on a Stephen King story. Love me The Raft. Oh, yeah. The animation sequences in this are also really cool. I kind of just don't like the hitchhiker story as much, and that Indian story is just okay. Native American, oops, don't cancel me. Cujo Anniversary Edition. Yeah. Great movie right there. Another one based on Stephen King. Fantastic. Used to work at Hollywood Video, and I was playing this on the TV at one time, and this little kid came in, like, right during that scene where Cujo, like, jumps at the window, and, like, it's a big jump scare, and it scared the crap out of the kid, and, like, his mom was, like, mad at me, but it was well worth it. It was hilarious. We got more over here. Curtains. I definitely consider this an underrated slasher movie. Some people don't like it. I do like it. There's this scene on the ice during the day. I think people don't like during the day kills or something, but definitely recommend Curtains. Here we have Dawn of the Dead. Obviously, everyone knows Dawn of the Dead, but this is the European cut, which is known as Zombie over there. Dawn of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, directed by Dario Argento, and it's a little bit shorter and tighter and has more Goblin, the band, on the soundtrack. And nowadays, I actually watch this way more. I watch the zombie version of Dawn of the Dead. I've seen this movie so many times. It's probably one of my favorite horror movies. And for sure is one of my favorites. Dawn of the Dead, the remake. I liked this a lot when it first came out. I'm not quite as big of a fan anymore, but it's still pretty cool. Get back in there. This right here is a banger, kid. Day of the Dead, fantastic. If you haven't seen this, watch this movie. Oh, Marone. The Dead, kind of an obscure, newer zombie movie. Definitely recommend this one if you try to track down zombie movies. This is one of the better ones. I mean, it's not like George Romero good, but yeah, definitely watch The Dead. Dead Alive, classic, obviously. It's unrated. Why would they put out the R-rated version on DVD? Wouldn't really make very much sense. Glad to find this. This is out of print. This is hard to find. This was a thrift store find. I do own the VHS, but, had to grab this too for, $1 or $2. Okay, so I was a little confused here, but I have 2 death proofs. We'll get to this a little bit later. The Dentist. Another one that got like a little bit of the water from the pipe on it, unfortunately. But yeah, The Dentist. I've only watched this once, 15 years ago. But I think I remember liking it just well enough. This is really cool. This is a good deal right here. Deranged is kind of an obscure movie. It's another movie based on Ed Gein. And then you have Motel Hell. I actually prefer Deranged. I know Motel Hell is more popular. I like Deranged better. Yeah. The Descent When this came out, I didn't like it very much. I've only watched it then. I picked it up again to rewatch it because it seems to be a classic. Me saying I didn't like it doesn't really mean much because I could just be in a bad mood and see a movie and then I say, oh, I didn't like it. But like, my opinion doesn't mean that much because like, yeah, I wasn't looking at it objectively. So I'll watch this again at some point. Hopefully I like it. Deserto, a Dollar Tree find. Not really a horror movie, more like a thriller. But because he's killing so many people, and like I said, Jaws is considered a horror movie, then this should be a horror movie. Diary of the Dead. I actually like this movie. A lot of people don't like it very much, but I like it just fine. Document of the Dead, a documentary about the making of Dawn of the Dead. This is kind of obscure. I think I bought this one on eBay for maybe, $10 or $15. Yeah. Don't Breathe. Flea Market Falcon gave me this. Thank you, Flea Market Falcon. Don't Mess with My Sister. This one's funny because you hear the title, Don't Mess with My Sister. So you figure this guy's protecting his sister. But the movie's about a guy messing with someone's sister, and he's the main character. And that's who you're relating to, this, like, pest guy. But it's pretty entertaining. I think the director of this did, like, Cannibal Holocaust, possibly. A movie I actually don't like, but he's a good enough director, and this is worth tracking down. Dr. Butcher, M.D. I only watched this movie one time. I don't really think I liked it that much, but I keep it around because maybe I'll watch it again and maybe I'll change my mind. Dolls. I like this movie a lot. This is an awesome movie. Stuart Gordon. Very good Dolls movie. Yeah. Donnie Darko. I only have this in the horror section because Frank is terrifying. Drag Me to Hell. I saw this in the theaters. I haven't seen it since, but picked it up cheap to rewatch at some point. Dreamcatcher. I don't really remember if I like this or not. People seem to not like it. Another one got for very cheap. I'll rewatch it at some point. Duel. Steven Spielberg's first movie. This is awesome. Very, very intense. Very good suspense. Highly recommend Duel. Also highly recommend Eaten Alive. I believe this is Tobe Hooper's second movie after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's almost just as good as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's fantastic. If you've never seen this, definitely watch this. Love this movie. Edmund. Saw this when it first came out. Don't really remember too much. I do like it. Believe this is another Stuart Gordon movie. Yeah. Not really a horror movie, though. Kind of like a thriller, but I put it in the horror section anyways. This one. I wanted to see every zombie movie, so here's Joe D'Amato's Erotic Nights of the Living Dead. It's just softcore porn. It's barely zombies. It's somewhat interesting. This is actually a bootleg because the original is super out of print and hard to find. So I maybe paid like $10. Probably wasn't worth the $10, but I wanted to see it. I do like Joe D'Amato. He has that movie like Fascigorious or whatever the hell it's called. And then he has one called Absurd. I highly recommend Absurd. You should check that one down. But yeah, don't bother watching this one. Waste of time. Evil Speak. I like this one. You have Ron Howard's brother there, Clint Howard. Who? Here we have Evil Dead. I actually haven't watched this one yet. I heard it's pretty good. I'm kidding. I've watched this so many times. What's kind of interesting is when people first get into horror movies, a lot of times they watch like Evil Dead. That's what they're like exposed to. And I hate to say this, but that's like the best one. So it's kind of like, oh, well, it's all downhill from here. So I liked horror like a little bit as a kid, but to be honest, I was like genuinely terrified of it. So it was when I like later watched movies like Night of the Living Dead and The Evil Dead is when I really like got into it. But as a young kid, I was terrified. I know a lot of people started really young. I started a little bit later. Evil Dead 2 is basically Well, the first 20 minutes is like a remake of Evil Dead 1, and then it kind of continues a new story. But this is like the comedy version of that. The Eyes of My Mother. Notorious Dollar Tree movie right here. Highly recommend this movie. Glad I found it for $1. And it's in my collection. There you go. The Faculty and Phantoms. Recently, I watched The Faculty. It's pretty darn good. And Phantoms, I don't really remember. I watched it like almost 20 years ago. Flesh Eater. So that's the original zombie from Night of the Living Dead. And he directed a zombie movie. And it kind of plays off that it's supposed to be in the same universe with it, without it actually being. So like they don't get sued. But yeah. It's worth watching, but it's also pretty bad. There's also some like very creepy nudity. There's this very young looking girl who just looks like it's like, you know, his like buddy's daughter, and they were like, "Hey, I'll give you $50 if you take your top off." And it's very creepy, but I do recommend watching it. Flesh Eater. John Carpenter, The Fog, pretty good movie, but does take a long time to get into the action. But do recommend that. Frankenhooker, Frank Henenlotter, comedy. This is one on the VHS I always used to remember looking at the video store. And, you know, this is pretty entertaining and funny. Frankenhooker. It's funny they got a quote from Bill Murray. If you only see one movie this year, it should be Frankenhooker. Friday the 13th. I had all of the movies like separately, but I found this, the 4-pack, so I got rid of the other 4 to save space. Classic movies, obviously. Number 2 being my favorite. I think in order, my favorites are, a lot of people say 4 is the best. I say 2, 3, 4, 1, 5. So here's 1 through 5. I kind of don't consider ones after 5 canon. I think 5 is underrated because, you know, it's not Jason, but like at least it's not like a Frankenstein Jason, which I just think is very silly. If you like those Friday the 13th, then fine. I'm just not a big fan, and I mean it no offense. I like the first 5 the best. I do have the other ones on VHS. We have the remake right here. I actually think this is somewhat underrated. It's not that bad. I keep this under F. The Friday the 13th documentary. His name was Jason. Yeah. The Frighteners. Peter Jackson. It stars Michael J. Fox. And it's a pretty cool movie. I saw this when I was pretty young in the theater. And here's the DVD. The Exorcist 3. People might overlook this movie because Exorcist 2 was so bad, but Exorcist 3 is awesome. And it's directed by the writer of the first movie. Can't forget about these right here, The Devil's Rejects, Rob Zombie's best movie. That's not saying a whole lot because I'm not a huge fan of his, but this one is pretty good. Not really a straight horror, kind of more like a gritty, just dirty action movie. Ex Machina. Also not really a horror movie, but the ending is terrifying, and this is fantastic. Definitely recommend Ex Machina. Dead Ant. One of the better, just like, you know, straight-to-video Dollar Tree movies. I highly recommend Dead Ant. This was an awesome thrift store find. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, which is just like a pretty good car chase movie, but then it also comes with Race with the Devil. Fantastic movie about like these people in an RV. They see like a satanic ritual, and they have to run away because the Satanist like committed a murder. It's awesome. I was recently watching a movie, and they were watching Race with the Devil on television, but I can't think of what it is. So if you know, please let me know in the comments. And also, it's a good time to let you know you're also welcome to subscribe if you would like. Yeah. We got Dead End Drive-In, and we have Cut and Run double feature. So earlier I said Don't Mess With My Sister was the director of Cannibal Holocaust, but I'm wrong. The director of Cannibal Holocaust directed this one, Cut and Run, which is a very good like exploitation movie. I highly recommend this. It's pretty funny, like the violence. Yeah, overall, just a good time. And I remember liking Dead End Drive-In, but haven't seen it in a very long time. That's a good DVD right there. We got Frozen, and no, not the Disney movie Frozen. This is a horror movie. The director of Hatchet, Adam Green. I actually like this more than Hatchet. Very good movie. It's a very serious movie. It's almost like a thriller. People on a ski lift, and then the ski hill closes, so they're stuck up there, and they have to get down. Fantastic horror movie right there, or thriller, whatever you want to call it. Recommend Frozen. Everyone's seen Fright Night. Great movie right there. Yeah. The remake, I saw that at the $2 theater way back in the day. Picked up the DVD for cheap. I'll rewatch this at some point. I remember thinking it was alright. I don't really remember too much about it. I could be wrong. Frogs. I find this movie to be fun. I like frogs. Yeah. Pretty cool flick right there. From Beyond. Another Stuart Gordon movie. Very violent, lots of nudity. Good flick. The Good Son, barely a horror movie, but wanted to show this one off. Used to love this movie. I still do like it. Definitely recommend The Good Son. Gremlins 2. I know I have the first Gremlins somewhere. I'm not really sure where it went, but here's the second one. I saw this at a sleepover when I was maybe like 9 years old or something. I saw the Grindhouse movies in the theater, and that was such a great experience. Planet Terror was first, and it's awesome. Highly recommend it. I do like Death Proof more, but they're both so good. Here's Death Proof. This one's directed by Quentin Tarantino. This one's the Steelbook. The Grudge, I've never actually watched this all the way through. The Fly 2, underrated movie right here. There's actually like some sad scenes where like a dog dies and stuff. I don't know why they have to do that. This DVD is pretty beat up, but it did play with no skips or anything. So The Fly 2, that's a good movie. This section's a little weird because we have the Halloween remake. Pretty good movie. Then Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie one, which, I bought for $1 just to check it out. I didn't hate it as much as other people seem to hate it, because I had nothing invested in it. It was just kind of like, oh, well, that's weird. And maybe I'll watch it again for a laugh, but it's not great or anything. And then Halloween 3, which I do find underrated. I have all the other Halloween movies on VHS, so I don't really need the DVDs of those. From Hell. Haven't seen that in so long. I do want to rewatch that. Happy Birthday to Me. A pretty good slasher movie, but it gets boring, and I feel that it's too long. It's 111 minutes. I really hate how they put it in minutes. They should put it in hours and then minutes. So 111 minutes means that it's 120 minutes is 2 hours, so minus 9 is an hour and 51 minutes. A slasher movie shouldn't be 151 minutes. Here's Hatchet, we talked about. I haven't seen this in so long, I should rewatch it. The Haunting, Dollar Tree Find, some pretty good ones. I should watch Jekyll and Hyde at some point. Little Shop of Horrors. I don't really know if I care that much about that. I bought this mainly for 976 Evil 2. I do want to track down the first 976 Evil. I haven't seen that in so long. Hell of the Living Dead. This is such a ripoff of George Romero zombie movies. I think they even use like the Goblin soundtrack and stuff. But it is worth watching. Some parts are really boring, and then there's some like good zombie action. So this is all right. Bruno Mattei. He makes really bad movies. We're going to get to another one of his movies that I like a lot better than Hell of the Living Dead. The Hills Run Red. I'm pretty sure this is a found footage movie. Haven't seen it in a while, but I remember thinking it was pretty good. Hellraiser. Now, movies are classic for a reason. and this is deserves all the credit. It's great. It's one of the best. Hellraiser 2. I really don't remember much about that movie, but here it is. Need to rewatch that one. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, Michael Rooker. Great flick right there. Awesome. Hidden, Dollar Tree find. Hidden, yeah. Definitely recommend this one. The Hills Have Eyes. Wes Craven. Classic movie. I like that a lot. Part 2 is just like so bad it's funny. I do recommend watching it at least once. The Hills Have Eyes 2. Here are the remakes. I had them separate, but then I found this double pack, so I got rid of those. And these are all right. I find the second one is slightly underrated because it's like so over the top. I took a girl on a first date to see The Hills Have Eyes remake, and it was the first date and it was the last date. I don't know why I thought she would like that movie. Yeah. The Hitchhiker. I don't really remember too much about this. Watched it a long time ago. Anthology TV show. We talked about Lucio Fulci. This is his second best movie. I like this movie a lot. It's really creepy. The House by the Cemetery. Definitely recommend this one. Rob Zombie, House of 1000 Corpses. I saw this in the theater and hated it. I did want to give it a second chance, and I've rewatched it, and I don't hate it quite as much, but I'm definitely not like a huge fan or anything. But now this one, The House of the Devil, found this at Dollar Tree for $1. It's probably my best Dollar Tree find for movies that I hadn't ever seen before. Very happy to have tracked this down, The House of the Devil. House of the Wax, pretty good early 2000s horror movie. You got like Paris Hilton, which isn't a good selling point, but even though it has Paris Hilton, it's still pretty good. I recommend it. Hostel 2, I really like this movie. Now, it has like a lot of nudity, and then it kind of goes into like torture porn. But I do feel that this movie does it right, because it really like puts you off guard. So you're not like, what I mean to say is when the violence starts happening, it's like really shocking. So yeah, Hostel, great flick right there. I love the reveal of how like it's like, oh, so that's why they're like torturing people. And then it kind of becomes a revenge movie, which is like my favorite type of movie. Hostel is great. I want to rewatch Hostel 2. I haven't seen it in so long. I remember just thinking it was okay. I do like the original a lot better than the remake. But what's funny about, it and then the remake, which we have right here, is in both versions, the first part is way, way better. And even in the book, like the first, half of the book is way better. And then it kind of craps the bed. But yeah, so it seems like they can't film the second half of it properly. Oh my God, though, this is so great. Pennywise is fantastic in this one. This one has some pretty cool moments, but yeah, the clown isn't nearly as good as in the first one. It's alive! These are pretty cool, and what I remember, because I haven't seen these in a long time, is I actually liked each one better than the one before it, which is very rare. So yeah, these are pretty good. Who is this? Larry Cohen. He did one, Q the Winged Serpent, and that's a great movie. I think he also did, unless I'm mistaken, The Stuff. Is that right? Someone will let me know in the comments. I think he did The Stuff, and if so, that's his best movie. These are pretty good. I, Zombie. This is an obscure zombie movie made by Fangoria. And it's basically just like a drama about a guy slowly becoming a zombie. But I like this one a lot. I do recommend tracking this one down. Seems to be pretty obscure, though. Jack Frost. Need to rewatch this because this is pretty entertaining. If you like these goofy horror movies, then I definitely recommend this one, Jack Frost. Yeah. Jacob's Ladder. Classic, but I do need to rewatch it because I haven't seen it in so long. Jacob's Ladder, yeah. The Howling. Did I mention that one? From Hell. Yeah. Jaws 3-pack. Oh. Wait. What? That's weird. Okay, so it's confusing because it's Jaws 3 movie collection, but Jaws isn't actually in it. It's Jaws 2, Jaws 3, Jaws the Revenge. I definitely already have the original Jaws somewhere, so that's fine. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. People love this movie. I hate to say this. I do like it, but there's just something in the back of my mind that disappoints me about this. Because as a kid on cable at a friend's house, I watched the movie Clown House, and I liked it a lot. And then, like, later, someone was like, oh, I have a movie, Killer Clown from Outer Space. And I was like, oh, is that movie I watched? And then when I watched it, I'm like, hey, that's not the same movie. So I was always kind of biased against this movie. But yeah, it's great. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Also, Clown House is like a really like messed up movie if you know the behind the scenes thing. We're not going to get into that though. George Romero, Land of the Dead. Another one I saw at the $2 theater. I like this movie. I think it's a little bit underrated. Still not like the best thing ever or anything, but if you've never seen it, give it a shot. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Another hidden gem zombie movie. So you have like the top tier zombie movies, which are like Romero and Night of the Creeps. And this is like the next level down. Still awesome. Not like quite as good, but yeah. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, also known as The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. Let Me In! So yeah, this is a remake of Let the Right One In. At some point, I'm going to have to rewatch both, and then I'll let you know which one I like better. But I do like both of them. Life Force. Now, I don't think I like this movie as much as most other people, but it's okay. Another one that I think is just too long, 1 hour and 56 minutes. Come on, Space Vampires. That's an 1 hour and 25-minute movie. But yeah, Life Force. The Lost Boys. We all know The Lost Boys. Not much to say about that one. Classic right there. Maniac. Another one that the flea market Falcon gave to me. He found this for $1 at the flea market. It's new and sealed. I'll open this in case of an emergency. I believe it's on Tubi, so I'll just watch that for now and keep this sealed. But if I ever need to crack it open, here it is. Manhunter. Only watched this once. I should rewatch this again. Got it at Movie Stop. Remember Movie Stop? I used to buy a lot of stuff there. I used to also buy stuff at GameStop. Before Movie Stop, GameStop sold DVDs. Here we have a few Masters of Horror. I used to like this a lot. This is the best one, Cigarette Burns. This one not quite as good. This one is also really good, Pelts. Hakel's Tale. I don't really remember much about that one. And I don't remember much about this one either. But yeah, some of the Masters of Horror are fantastic. I definitely recommend tracking those down. We have The Monster Squad. Classic movie. Kind of in a similar vein to The Goonies, but with monsters. Great movie right there. My Bloody Valentine. Now, this is like the unrated version, which has extra gore scenes. And this was the first version I saw, and I liked it. I don't know if I would like this movie if I saw the rated R version. Because it just, like, what's the point in a slasher if you don't see, like, the violence? Unless it's, like, really, really suspenseful. But, yeah. So I recommend the special edition. It has the gore added in, but, like, it's not as good quality. Like, it'll be a little bit grainy when there's, like, the gore. But still worth it. This is an okay remake. I don't know how people feel about it, but I think it's just fine. My Bloody Valentine. Another great Dollar Tree find, Murder Party. This is awesome. This is by the director of Green Room and Blue Ruin. This is his first movie. It's really cool. Yeah. Lucio Fulci. I actually think this is a bad movie. It has some good gore, but the movie itself is like just not very good and annoying. It's like a guy who makes duck noises the whole time. And I'm pretty sure that's used in other movies. Like, there's multiple duck noise killer movies. It's odd. Night of the Comet. I think I don't like this quite as much as other people. Like, I think I don't like it because people consider it a zombie movie, but like the zombies are in it for 5 minutes and they're not real zombies. But it's okay. I mentioned this one already, but yeah, this is fantastic. One of the best zombie movies. Night of the Creeps. Fantastic. Awesome. Same director of Monster Squad. Up here, we got Maniac Cop. Great flick. Maniac Cop 2 is really good. Maniac Cop 3, I think I remember being good. I don't remember too much about it, to be honest, though. Miss 45. This is kind of just like a revenge movie. Like, Death Wish. But because it's like the woman who got assaulted and then she's getting revenge, I'll put this one in the horror section. Because it is pretty horrific what happens. Great movie. Abel Ferreira, who I feel is a very underrated director. Like Bad Lieutenant, that's fantastic. I think he had a lot of drug problems, so he kind of didn't live up to his full potential. But yeah. Nightmare and Dreamscapes, the stories of Stephen King anthology. That's pretty good, that's fine. Night of the Demons. Another one, I just don't think I like this as much as some other people. I definitely will rewatch it and give it another shot. I've watched it a few times. Night of the Living Dead. Obviously a classic. And what's funny is it's 1969, so like this movie isn't as old as like it looks. Definitely like changed horror movies once that came out. But I don't watch it that much because this exists. The 1990 remake, which is another one that I'm going to consider one of my favorite horror movies. This is so awesome. Absolutely love this movie right here. Yeah. Directed by Tom Savini. There's a lot of gore that was cut out of this. Not a lot, but, you know, if you add it up, maybe 30 seconds worth. I really wish they'd make a director's cut Blu-ray and put all that in there. That'd be great. Near Dark. Awesome vampire movie. Catherine Bigelow from like The Hurt Locker. Director. You got like Bill Paxton, Lance Hendrickson. Great movie right here. I'm sure most people have seen this already, but yeah. Nosferatu, a classic. Worth watching once. But, you know, like I said, the old ones don't really do it for me. This one's Once Bitten is like, you know, comical enough. And then you have The Vampire's Kiss, which is just Nicolas Cage being the most Nicolas Cage that he could be. It's like insane. So this was a good thrift store find. Yeah. Panic Room, more of a thriller, but a well-made movie. Pan's Labyrinth, I liked this. Not as heavy into like the fantasy horror, but yeah, this was good. Need to rewatch it. We got this double pack, Fear and Parents. I don't really remember this very well. I saw it, 14 years ago or something. Definitely rewatch it. I'm going to assume Parents is more entertaining because you have like, Tom Arnold in there and stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Randy Quaid. Why did I think Tom Arnold? Yeah. Pet Sematary 2. Now I have the first one in a collection somewhere, but here's the second one. Also have the VHS. The People Under the Stairs. This is a good movie. Wes Craven. Yeah. Phantasm 3. Remember just thinking this one was okay. Have the first Phantasm loose disc. Have some other loose discs. Netflix. Forgot to give those back. Oops. Cannibal Holocaust. Oh, that's right. My friend gave me these. That's why I have these. He was like, oh, man, I hate this movie. You can have it. And I actually kind of hate it, too. So, thanks for nothing. So, just kidding. Look at this. This was a thrift store find. This was $2. Pieces. Oh my god, so awesome. This is like the best like combination of things. It's absurd enough to be like hilarious, but it's also like super gory. So yeah, this is just like a masterpieces. Haha. Yeah, recommend this movie, Pieces. Plan 9 from Outer Space. Not really much of a horror movie, but you know, I wanted it in the horror section. So there we go. Ed Wood, considered the worst movie of all time. Obviously, it's not. You know, you can go to Dollar Tree right now and find 50 movies that are worse than this one, because this is at least entertaining. But yeah, do enjoy Plan 9 from Outer Space. Popcorn, classic right here. This is a great movie. Somewhat obscure. I'm sure most horror fans know of it, but the average person probably has never heard of Popcorn. Slightly obscure unless you're into slashers. The Prowler, great movie. Has some of Tom Savini's best work as a makeup effect artist. This is really cool. Yeah. We have Sleepaway Camp, another one that I would consider one of my favorite movies. Now, a lot of people like make fun of like the cheesy acting and stuff, but I just think this is an awesome, very effective movie with one of the best endings ever. I recommend Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp 2 isn't really as good. A lot of people like the first 3 movies. I'm not that into the other ones, but 2 and 3 are all right. Right here we have Splatter Farm. This is another, you know, a shot on video movie. And what's funny is that, you know, I've never seen a movie directed by Fellini, but I own Splatter Farm. There it is. Yeah, I remember it being okay. Secret Window, that's pretty good. Serial Mom. Kind of too comedic to be like an actual horror movie, but she is killing people, so I put that in the horror section. Stephen King's Riding the Bullet, kind of a generic movie directed by Mick Garris. That explains it. He's kind of a generic director. It's fine, I guess. The Road, kind of not really a horror movie, but it's like, you know, so brutally grim. I put it in the horror section. Definitely recommend watching this movie. It's very sad. It's depressing, but I kind of like movies like that. Rats. Yeah. So this is Bruno Mattei. We talked about him earlier, and this movie is hilariously funny. The ending has to be seen. Oh my god. Track this movie down. Rats, Night of Terror. Reanimator. Classic. The best part about American Beauty is they talk about this movie for 5 seconds. But yeah, you know, American Beauty's alright. But this movie, yeah, is fantastic. Classic. Stuart Gordon. It's a comedy, but like, it still kind of takes itself seriously. So it's a well-made horror comedy. Return of the Living Dead. Everyone loves this movie. I probably don't like it as much as most other people, but it is really good. A lot of people would say, oh, a 10 out of 10. I would say Return of the Living Dead is like an 8 out of 10. And it would be higher if it wasn't quite so goofy. Like, would someone really be dancing in the cemetery as like zombies are coming out to eat them? Return of the Living Dead 2, that's all right. A problem with those movies is there's so much like screaming. Like, there'll be like 20 minutes where there's no dialogue and it's just people screaming their head off. But yeah, I do like them. Okay. Very underrated movie right here. Road Games. This is so good. Stacy Keach, Jamie Lee Curtis. Kind of like a quirky movie. Stacy Keach is fantastic in this. Track this movie down. Suspiria. Another one that kind of got some drips from the pipe on it. But yeah, fantastic. And I even like the remake. Classic movie. 2, I believe these are both shot on video movies. And I remember thinking they were just fine. They're all right. So if you like that kind of thing. Terror at 10 Killer and The Last Slumber Party. I like this okay. I bought this at a game store. It was called Play and Trade. And is $3.99. The Shining, fantastic movie. Yeah. Silent Hill, one of the best video game adaptations. Highly recommend that. Maybe not highly recommend, but you know what I mean. Severance, I haven't seen that since it came out. I thought it was okay, I guess. I don't remember too much about that one. Sessions 9, you know, kind of more of a ghost type story type of thing. We got Shaun of the Dead, another one that's like, oh, if it was just a straight horror movie, it would be fantastic. But then it has to like be a comedy too. Like, couldn't it just take itself serious and then it would be like a fantastic zombie movie instead of just being like, oh, well, it's not really a zombie movie, it's a comedy. But yeah, this is a great movie. Saw this one in the theater. Shocker, this is kind of just a goofy movie. I think a lot of people like this. I just thought it was like, you know, laughable. Slime City, very low budget horror movie. If you can find this VHS, it's worth a ton. So track that one down for cheap if you can find it. And yeah, this one has good like low budget special effects. I do recommend this movie. Silence of the Lambs, more of a thriller, but I put it with the horror. Yeah. This one right here is classic. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Like this movie a lot. Also like this. Slither. I don't really remember if I like this movie, and I also get this confused with Firestarter, which is kind of a generic movie. I'll have to rewatch this. Spontaneous Combustion. We got the 4-pack here. Dead Zone, Pet Sematary, Silver Bullet, Graveyard Shift. Nice. Just recently got this one. Awesome, awesome, awesome movie. Stage Fright. It's European. Very good slasher. The guy wears an owl's mask on his head. Good time right there. Street Trash. Very, very good special effects. This one is another one that's maybe a little bit too long, but I do recommend it. Does get a little bit boring in the middle. Great special effects movie. I remember this being pretty good. The Strangers. Student Bodies. Now this is like one of the first like horror comedies, and I like it. I don't love it though, but worth watching. Anthology movie. This is really good. You got like Buster Poindexter, Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore, Christian Slater. Yeah, this is pretty good. Original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, absolute classic, fantastic. Really doesn't get better than this. The remake, I'm assuming a lot of people don't like this. I like it just fine. It's whatever. I don't watch it very often, but sometimes. A lot of people don't like this either. I think I like this more than most people do, though. I want to watch it again and see if I like it. The second time I saw this at the $2 theater. The beginning. They Live. Freaking awesome. Yeah. The Thing. Freaking awesome. Yeah. I tracked this one down because I heard it was an inspiration for Kill Bill, and I wanted to see what all the hubbub was about. And it's kind of boring and depressing. And, like, it's weird because it's also a softcore porn. They, like, show penetration? It's like, is that necessary? Oh, gosh. But, yeah, so this is one I had to buy on eBay because, like, you weren't going to find this one at a thrift store. But then I did end up finding it at a thrift store years later. So that's pretty cool. Tourist Trap. Highly recommend this movie. It's also definitely the best full moon production movie. So, yeah, watch this, Tourist Trap. The Town That Dreaded Sundown. This is a bootleg. I don't think this was ever released on DVD. I found this at a record store in Philadelphia for $1. Did I just call it Philadelphia? Yeah, but I found it for $1. Awesome buy. Pretty good looking bootleg too. Not the disc, but you know, the case itself. Then another good Dollar Tree find. This was $1, obviously Dollar Tree. This is the remake. The remake does have issues. Actually, I call it a remake. It's kind of a sequel. Yeah, I think it's actually more of a sequel than a remake. It's like this guy is inspired by the movie. So it's like the first one is just the movie, and then this is like a second telling of 30 years later. I'm rambling. We got Tales from the Crypt, seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously awesome. I had season 7, but I didn't like it because it's a British production for some reason. They go 6 seasons in America, and then it's like, oh, the 7th season, everyone's going to complain about blokes stealing their fish and chips, nicking them. But yeah, maybe that's being a xenophobe, but I didn't like the British season. If I should go and watch that, let me know. But yeah, the first 6 are great. 13 Ghosts, have to watch that again. Haven't seen that in a super long time. Torso, a pretty good giallo, I think that's how they're pronounced, the Italian slasher movies. Pretty violent. Good time right there. Classic right there, unrated DVD, The Toxic Avenger. Recently got this one at the Dollar Tree. It's like corny and poorly made, but good zombie action. That's why I'm keeping this one. So if you watch my Dollar Tree movies, you see that I buy tons, and 90% of them I just like put in a lot and sell on eBay, or I'll trade into like a local media store. So yeah, I don't keep most of them. Up here, Trick or Treat. It's funny that Ozzy and Gene Simmons are on the cover. Ozzy's in the movie for literally 20 seconds, and then Gene Simmons is maybe in it for 3 minutes. But from what I remember, it's a pretty fun movie. Yeah. Tremors Attack Pack. What's this? The first 4 movies. That's really cool. Flea market find, $1. Now we have this one here, Troll. Now, is this about some of the people who comment on my videos? Just kidding. Troll and Troll 2. Obviously, everyone knows that Troll 2 is one of the best, worst movies. The first Troll is actually pretty good. So yeah, this is an awesome DVD. 2 Evil Eyes, George Romero and Dario Argento both direct like 50-minute movies each. And I only watched it 1 time, so I'm assuming I didn't like it that much. I do want to rewatch it. Under the Skin, the feel-good movie of the year. This is brutally, like, just depressing, but it's really well made. It's good. Recommend Under the Skin. Unnameable 2. I actually had this for a long time. Just watched it for the first time recently, and I liked it. I feel that Unnameable and Unnameable 2 are definitely underrated horror movies. The Wraith, that's a good movie right there. Yeah, there's some like awesome cars in this, and it's like supernatural. A guy comes back from the dead. Great flick. The Witch, one of the best modern horror movies, I would say, of the past, 15 years or so. Wolfen, I remember liking this. There it is. The Woods, I remember liking this also. I don't even remember that Bruce Campbell was in it. So, You're Next, another awesome modern horror movie. Very good, like action and stuff. Yeah, that's great. We got Zombie 2. Now, this is Lucio Fulci's best movie, in my opinion. So, some places this is just called Zombie. When it originally came out in the United States, it was just Zombie. But because Europe called Dawn of the Dead Zombie, over there they passed this off as a sequel to Dawn of the Dead and called it Zombie 2. Zombie Lake. This is like really bad, but worth watching a few times. I'm somewhat of a zombie completionist, so I watch all these. We have these 12 zombie movies. These anthologies, you can actually find some pretty good ones on here. You have like Carnival of Souls. All like the, public domain movies. Oasis of the Zombies, worth watching, but very, very bad. Night of the Living Dead, obviously. But the best one on here is called Mutant, which is definitely like overlooked zombie movie. I recommend tracking that one down. Mutant. Zombie Death House. This wasn't very good from what I remember. It comes with an insurance policy because it's so shocking that you could die while watching it. And if you do die while watching it, your benefactor gets $1,000. So hell yeah. You die watching this and someone gets $1,000. More anthologies. So like I had these like a long time ago, and these were such a good deal. You would pay like, $5.99, and then you get the Hatchet Murders, a Dario Argento movie, and then Pieces. Awesome. I already said how good that one was. And you get like Don't Look in the Basement and Memorial Valley Massacre. Obscure movie about it's a slasher movie and the killer is a caveman. It's definitely worth watching. It's a fun time. Got like more The Living Dead. Like this one has The House by the Cemetery and other zombie movies. You have like this one, Roots of Evil, House on the Edge of the Park. That's kind of like a Last House on the Left. That's like a Last House on the Left revenge movie. Definitely worth watching if you like those. I might like it more than I like Last House on the Left. Another one, another Deep Red, Christmas Evil. That's a very good movie. We got some more back here, the 1980s version of The Twilight Zone. I watched a bunch of those. Underrated show, I like those. We have these Hammer horror ones, Dracula and the Mummy and Frankenstein. And these are pretty good. Still not really quite my thing, but yeah, those are pretty neat. I got this, the Troma Blood Bank box set. What's upsetting is it has 2 copies of the same movie, and then one of the other movies is missing. Yeah, and that's my horror collection for DVDs. Oh, except for this one. We have Alone in the Dark. Good for a laugh for the first half hour, but then it's like, oh, what the hell? Why am I watching this? I also have like some Blu-rays. This is so sad. My Blu-ray collection is so small. You got like Shaun the Dead, Walking Dead, these over here. The Wizard. Awesome. My buddy Mike bought me this because I was sick and he wanted to cheer me up. So thank you, Mike. Love The Wizard. Fantastic. Faster. I think this is an underrated Dwayne Johnson movie, and it's rated R. You don't see him do many rated R movies. It's pretty good. Nightmare on Elm Street. I have all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets on VHS, I believe. Might be missing a couple. You got some Quentin Tarantino, The Outsiders. Now, these are the only Blu-rays that I paid more than $5 for. Both fantastic. Blood Rage. Very, very underrated slasher. I'm sure by now it's not really even underrated. Most slasher fans know it. And the same with The Mutilator. A must-see. I do like Blood Rage better, but Mutilator is really good too. Really good gore. Bought this for $2. What a great deal. Worth it for The Cabin in the Woods. And then you have The Possession. I remember liking that one. I don't really remember Sinister. Keanu, Dollar Tree Store, Machete, The Visit. No, I kind of like this movie. M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, it's alright. Wanderlust. Yeah, David Wayne. That's very funny. Got some more down there. You got The Crazies. That's one of the best horror remakes because it takes a movie I don't think is good and then makes it great. And don't go telling me, oh, what about The Thing? That's a remake. That kind of doesn't count because it's so different. But yeah, The Crazies, very good remake. Obviously, The Thing is also a good remake. Evil Dead, not quite as good of a remake, but it's okay. RoboCop, a fine remake. It's like, how could a movie be as good as the first RoboCop? It can't. The remake is okay. You got like Django. Then we got just some more DVDs around here. I need to rewatch this, The City of Lost Children. Most people probably don't realize they made a PlayStation game based on this movie. I want to talk about this one, Get a Life, because it's like baffling the decisions they made on this. Dave Merkin, who is the director and like co-creator, didn't get Chris Elliott involved in this DVD. So all the commentaries are just Dave Merkin talking. And then he did this weird thing, like he'll pause the episode if like he wants to like go on a rant. And because the audio file that he uses takes up so much space, the video quality on the episodes is bad. So he made the quality bad so that he could ramble on the audio commentaries, and he doesn't get the star of the show involved in it. I don't know what he was thinking. Underrated 90s movie. Love me some Todd Solondz, or however you pronounce his name, storytelling. We got an extreme sports section over here with BMX Bandits, a bootleg copy of Rad, and we got Thrashin'. Then we have some like Bam Margera movies here, like Haggard and CKY, 1, 2, and 3, and like documentary. We got some Tom Green, Freddy Got Fingered, Inside and Out the Box. This is the complete series of his Canadian show. I wish he did a complete box set of his MTV show. So I don't know if Tom Green on MTV was 2 or 3 seasons, but if let's say it was 2, like the first season was mostly like his Canadian stuff repackaged, and then the second season was a lot of new stuff. And because I saw a lot of the Canadian stuff on things like this, I really liked the new stuff he was doing. It really like pushed the envelope even further. So I wish that that like second season stuff was on a DVD. Just got some few DVDs over here. Classics right there. Buffalo 66, great movie. Heavy Metal 2000, awesome. Kind of underrated. People seem to have gave it a bad review when it came out. I like it. So I said I like Buffalo 66. The Brown Bunny is awful. It's funny that like one of my favorite movies, the director then goes and makes like one of the worst movies. American movie, fantastic. Over the Edge, fantastic. Class of 1984. Love this movie. I wanted to show that back cover. Look at how badass that is right there. Heck yeah. The Terminator. Better than T2. I don't care what anyone says. In my mind, it'll always be better than the sequel. American Hardcore, good documentary. This is really cool. Polyester and Desperate Living. 2-pack. Desperate Living being my favorite John Waters movie. This is awesome. Brawl in Cell Block 99. Director of, what's it called? Bone Tomahawk? Yeah. Another one of my favorite movies right there. Good time, fantastic. Love me some Rocky. So when I used to buy DVDs, I would buy things like this, like the Asian version, which, you know, has the subtitles, because like I'd rather pay $10 than $30. So at the time, yeah, I grabbed that one. Here's the original RoboCop. We got The Room. So Bad It's Good movie. Awesome. The Goonies, one of my favorites as a kid. Requiem for a Dream, underrated movie. I feel that like a lot of people say like, oh, you could only watch it once because it's so depressing. I've watched that movie like 6 times. I love it. Wild at Heart, slightly underrated David Lynch movie. Very, very good. And then finally, my all-time favorite movie is Wet Hot American Summer. I appreciate you watching this video. It's a very long one, a lot longer than I usually do. So these are just some of the horror ones I wanted to show. Edit. So these are just some of the ones. So I just wanted to show my horror DVDs and some of my favorites, and then some of my Blu-rays. Like I said, I have a ton of other DVDs, but like, who wants to watch a video of just me being like, oh, here's Starsky and Hutch movie? Like, you know, people like the horror ones more. So I wanted to show these. I took the time to organize them, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. Please like and subscribe. See you in the next video. I'm out of here.